Hey, what's going on, everybody? Kind of nice to meet everybody of sorts. You know what I mean? So my name, my name is Bill Guenther, and I'm willing to bet one of the few people in this cohort who is actually not a K through 12 teacher. So I am actually a clinical trainer, and it is my job to work with adult learners. I train them in class and both in one-to-one, elbow-to-elbow support in their practices, in hospitals, in clinics, and I basically am the person to come in and tell them this is how my organization does things, and this is how I'm going to bring you up to speed. A lot of these practices and doctors that I'm working with, it's actually who I spent 8 hours with today, are still coming off of paper charts, and we need to get them into the 21st century and get them to start using electronic medical software so that everything is done digitally on the computer. It's more secure. It is better for the patient, more continuity of care, of being able to go anywhere in our network and their medical record is right there in the computer for them. You don't have to send it out. So it's my job to kind of go in and train these doctors, nurses, techs, front desk staff, site supervisors, practice managers, pretty much anybody in the healthcare field. It's my job to go in and train them. So it's a little bit different for what I am kind of doing as opposed to what some of you guys are doing, which is mainly working with kids. But it's really cool that I'm able to kind of relate the things that we learn to my kind of field. So that's kind of my occupation. My experience with working with students with disabilities is actually very little because I train adults. A lot of the people that come into my classes are adult professionals. They are medical, clinical, professionals who have already kind of gone through all of this schooling just to get where they are, and now they have to sit with me for a couple of days to learn how to use a computer program. So the length that I've gone in terms of assistive tech is pretty much just going to be subtitles. If they're watching a video, and that's kind of the answer to my next question. Is the first thing that always came to mind when I thought of assistive tech, because that's honestly the one that I use the most, is subtitles. And I mean just for myself, because my ears are not as great as they used to be. I've gone to a lot of concerts in my life, and I probably should have worn a lot more earphones or earplugs rather than I did. So I like to actually use subtitles just so I know what is going on in the thing that I am watching. So that's kind of the first thing that I think of, at least before going through Module 1 and now realizing there are so many other things that I never would have considered being assistive tech. And I'm really excited to kind of go and delve into that a little bit more. Personally, I learn best when somebody is able to demonstrate something for me, show me how to do it, and then let me practice and let me kind of trial and error, learn things hands-on. It's actually the theory of experiential learning, which is what I did my fall practicum on last semester, the theory of andragogy and teaching adults as opposed to teaching children. There's some parallels, a lot of things that are different, so it's kind of apples and oranges with certain facets of it, and then in other things I'm like, oh, you know what, I could actually go ahead and use that. How often do I use computer tech? Not very often, really. Just if I'm going to be using any kind of video, I will turn on the subtitles because sometimes we just don't have the tech needed to actually be able to play sound for an entire classroom. Other times I'll do both, so this way everybody can actually hear and read what's going on. If I'm somebody who likes to use that, I can only imagine some of these medical professionals who are in their 60s, some of them may not be able to hear or see or read things clearly. So for some of my adult learners who are a little bit higher up in age, some of these tools will actually be really useful. I think some teachers are hesitant about using technology because they're not comfortable with it themselves. A lot of people that I train are very resistant to technology. These are people who often have God complexes because they're doctors or they're surgeons, and it becomes a real challenge for me to say, listen, you could write forms for 6 hours of the day, or you can click a mouse a handful of times and your life will be that much easier if you just adopt the tech. If you listen to what I'm trying to show you, you can actually go ahead and make your life a whole lot easier and more secure, and leave yourself less open to liability and mistakes by switching into a technological system. So I really got to kind of get that provider buy-in and get them to believe, oh, you know what, if I listen to this guy, my day is actually going to go a lot quicker. And that's something that I lean on a lot. Um, so the things that I'm hoping to get out of this class is to learn how I can honestly use this kind of tech to help my adult learners in any way that I can to really solidify their knowledge of how to use the software that I'm trying to teach them, or maybe if I can learn a new method that I can now use to teach them, not something that necessarily they have to do, but a way that I can change my method of teaching that will kind of help them to understand the material a little bit better. I would have to say, in terms of a word that best represents me, nonsense. I like to use that word a lot, actually, because there's a lot of craziness going on in today's world and society, and it's not a commentary on anything. It's just the nature of life. Things are crazy, and sometimes you got to deal with some nonsense. So I try to be a little nonsensical, have a good sense of humor about things, because that's how I'm going to get people to relax, ease the tension a little bit, and listen to me as a trainer and understand that while I do kid around, I'm extremely knowledgeable, and I got to where I am for a reason, and I'm here to help. And once I can get them to understand that, then things go a little bit smoother for me. So and I would also say, in terms of songs that best represent me, I'm actually currently listening to a band called Talk, Tauk. They are a jam band. They are incredibly talented musicians who I've become addicted to lately, and I wanted to kind of have this playing in the background because I am a musician myself, and I really respect people who have honed their craft. So give them a listen. They're really good, and look forward to speaking with everybody this semester and getting to know how everybody else kind of likes to run classrooms, and hopefully we can find some common ground. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you soon.